Also, sir, on pardons, have you ruled out a pardon for yourself or any other additional members of the family?
For myself?
Yes, sir.
Well, what did I pardon myself for?
That's what I'm asking.
No, I have no contemplation of pardoning myself for anything. I didn't do anything wrong.
In our investigation, we knew that the laptop was real. DOJ knew that the laptop was real.
FBI knew the laptop was real.
Yes.
In what can only be described as the craziest few days in American politics, Biden and Trump both confirmed some of the biggest so-called conspiracy theories, and in this video, I'm going to tell you all about them. And we're going to quickly start things off with what Donald Trump has said about the drone invasion that we've seen over the last few months.
But is it anything, these drones, is it anything that people need to be worried about?
No, I think it's terrible. I would like to find out what it is and tell the people.
And can you commit to some kind of...
In fact, I'd like to do that. Could we find out what that was, Susie? Okay? Yeah, why don't we find out immediately? I mean, I can't imagine it's an enemy or there would have been, people would have gotten blown up all over. Maybe they were testing things. I don't know why they wouldn't have said what it was. They had a lot of them flying over Bedminster, which is interesting, right?
First off, it's great to see that our new president can answer questions like a normal human being. Doesn't just go blank like someone else.
So I want to thank you all for being here. And now, who am I introducing next? Who's next?
Distinguished guests. The Prime Minister of the Republic of India.
Now, I'm sure most of you have noticed him saying that these drones are most likely our own and part of some kind of testing. But that would go completely against what the Pentagon told us.
Can you rule out that these are American drones or U.S. military drones?
These are not U.S. military drones.
But then she went on to say this.
Again, this is being investigated by local law enforcement. What our initial assessment here is that these are not drones or activities coming from a foreign entity or adversary.
Representative Jeff Van Drew, who is a Republican from New Jersey, was just on the air saying that Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones, and that mothership is off the coast of the east coast of the United States. Is there any truth to that?
There is not any truth to that. There is no Iranian ship off the coast of the United States, and there's no so-called mothership launching drones towards the United States.
Like, if they're not our drones and you say they're not from our enemies, then why in the world are we seeing these things over Los Angeles while the city is burning? As far as I can see, President Trump's statement just confirms that those drones were part of some kind of a false flag operation to create panic. I just hope Donald Trump won't just let this theory get buried under all that official red tape, and we'll find out what was really going on in our skies. While this was an important statement, it was only one of the many shocking promises Donald Trump made during his many speeches. For instance, he also said this.
As a first step toward restoring transparency and accountability to government, we will also reverse the overclassification of government documents, and in the coming days, we are going to make public remaining records relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, his brother Robert Kennedy, as well as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and other topics of great public interest. It's all going to be released, Uncle Sam.
I guess this was kind of expected because he apparently has a lot of admiration for JFK.
I asked Donald Trump about what he thought back then, what era we were going to make America great again. And he said the era of your uncle, John F. Kennedy.
I mean, Trump's announcement is huge because there are a million theories attached to the cold-blooded killings of those 3 men. And even though we might have a good idea of who might be behind these crimes, it would end the debate once and for all if we got our hands on those official papers. And when President Donald Trump says he's going to declassify all such files, he does mean all of them.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can see why President Bush looks kind of nervous. Now, let's get one thing straight. You can hate Donald Trump for a lot of things, but you cannot deny that the 9/11 tragedy has always been a personal issue for him. I mean, just look at him making promises to NYPD officers on the 20th anniversary of that horrible day.
Do you have a question?
Spotlight's on me, I guess. Are you going to run again, Mr. President?
Oh, that's a tough question. Actually, for me, it's an easy question.
Okay.
So, I mean, I know what I'm going to do, but we're not supposed to be talking about it yet from the standpoint of campaign finance laws, which frankly are ridiculous, okay? You want to know the truth. But we have to live with it. But I think you're going to be happy. Let me put it that way, okay? I think you're going to be very happy.
I guess if he releases those files, New York policemen aren't the only ones who are going to be pretty happy with him. And how can we forget that he has also promised to release the infamous Epstein files? Now, I can't even imagine the storm we're going to witness if those files ever do actually come out. However, I have to be honest with you. It's going to be a battle to declassify all these documents because these evil rich people aren't just going to let the world prosecute them. So we will have to keep reminding President Trump of his promise. But considering what our new Attorney General once said, I have some hope that Epstein collaborators face justice after all.
People in that report are still fighting to keep their names private. Sean, they have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant.
But you know who likely will not face any justice? Joe Biden's entire family, because the old man decided to pardon all the bad eggs from his household.
Just minutes before leaving office, President Biden pardoning 5 members of his family, 3 siblings, and 2 of their spouses.
Look, I already told you in a recent video that he would likely pardon his brother James since he was the key to proving Biden's Ukraine involvement. However, I certainly did not think he was going to pardon his entire family. Now, if you're wondering why he had to do it, I'll just ask you to see what this IRS whistleblower had to say.
In our investigation, we knew that the laptop was real. DOJ knew that the laptop was real.
FBI knew the laptop was real.
Yes.
Based on the notes of this October 2020 meeting, the FBI and IRS, when did they know the laptop was real?
It was many months before October 2020. We were confirming certain aspects of it that it was real and legitimate as far back as late 2019.
There was no question in your mind, based on the universe of data, that the big guy was Joe Biden.
We corroborated that the big guy was Joe Biden, yes.
Did your supervisors accept that the big guy was Joe Biden?
There was no question ever that the big guy was referring to
I don't think to
Joe Biden.
So FBI, IRS, everyone understood that.
And that's why when we were doing the interviews, the prosecutors in Delaware specifically told us that they didn't want to ask about the big guy.
Now, I would highly encourage you to check out the full interview on Catherine's X channel, but as you can see, pretty much all agencies knew about Hunter's laptop and what Biden was allegedly doing in Ukraine. And yet, here he is lying straight to our faces.
This stuff is true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq. If this is true, then he's a corrupt politician. So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody.
President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
Laptop from hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
I have to respond to that.
Please,
because look, there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
And that's exactly what.
Is this
that's
where you're
exactly
going?
what.
This is where he's going. The laptop is Russia,
Gentlemen,
Russia.
I want to stay on the issue of race.
You
okay?
have to be kidding. Here we
Mr.
go
President,
again with Russia.
We're going to continue on the issue of race, Mr. President.
One of Hunter's business partners has also confirmed Joe Biden's involvement in his testimony.
In 2014, we believed that the Burden enterprise would be significantly enhanced by forming a partnership with Harvest Fund Management, a $300 billion Chinese financial service company closely connected to the Chinese Communist Party. This effort was led by Hunter Biden's contact with Henry Zhao, the Harvest chairman. Mr. Zhao was interested in this partnership because of the game-changing value add of the Biden family, including Joe Biden, who was to be a member of the Burnham Harvest team post-vice presidency. My lawyers provided the committee a drafted email dated August 23rd, 2014, drafted for Hunter Biden that reflects this understanding. It states, and I quote, Michael, please also remind Henry Zhao of our conversation about a board seat for a certain relation of mine. Devin and I golfed with that relation earlier this week, and we discussed this very idea. And as always, he remains very, very keen on the opportunity, end quote. I'm certain that this phrase, a certain relation of mine, refers to Vice President Biden. Devin told me about this golf course conversation shortly after it happened. Ultimately, this paragraph was deleted from the final version, with Hunter following our general rule of thumb on business deals: say it, forget it, write it, regret it. I was present when Hunter called his father on May 4th, 2014 on a cell phone, put it on speaker mode to have him say hello to Yelena Baturina, a Russian oligarch and an investor in Rosemont projects, and her husband, Yuri Luskov, the former mayor of Moscow. Devin Archer was also there. Hunter said, "Well, I'm here with our friends. I told you we're coming to town, and we wanted to say hello." The vice president said hello, some pleasantries, and I hope you had safe travels, and then said, "Well, okay, you be good to my boy."
So you can see why Biden had to pardon all these guys. And I guess you can say that President Trump wasn't very happy about it.
I was surprised that President Biden would go and pardon his whole family, because that makes him look very guilty. You know, I could have pardoned my family. I could have pardoned myself, my family. And I said, if I do that, it's going to make me look very guilty. I don't think I'd be sitting here, frankly. If I did that, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now, because I would have shown that you're guilty. I was a little bit surprised that he did it, because it makes him look guilty. I mean, he's going to have to live with it. Now, with that being said, it's unbelievable precedent it creates for a president. But the precedent is unbelievable. Now maybe every president that leaves office, they're going to pardon every person they ever met.
Trump was not happy about Joe Biden pardoning the entire January 6th committee.
Everybody, how about this J6 committee? Why is he pardoning them? The reason is because if you delete and destroy documentation, everything, they have nothing, because they were guilty as hell. They rigged it. It was a rigged deal. And when you do that, they look very bad. But I was a little surprised he did it. Liz Cheney, I mean, she's a lunatic.
Now, one of the congressmen who received this pardon is Jamie Raskin, and just look at this guy's hypocrisy.
Well, the seeking of pardons is powerful demonstration of the consciousness of guilt, or at least the consciousness that you may be in trouble. And that's what's so shocking about this.
The people who were pardoned in the morning were pardoned because we were innocent, and Donald Trump was threatening Liz Cheney and Benny Thompson and others with fraudulent political prosecutions.
In fact, I would like to show you the lies of the entire mainstream media when it comes to saving these people.
Have you ever heard of somebody getting a preemptive pardon who was innocent of all crime? Who's just an innocent person? Have you ever heard of that? Just somebody getting a blanket pardon?
Is there an innocent explanation for someone to seek preemptive pardons for family members? Would you do that?
It's the president's own family. It's people that have been covering up for the president in addition to his own family.
First off, we should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity of a president who's so clearly concerned about his own criminal culpability.
The answer to that is going to be no. If you haven't done anything wrong, you sit there and go, what do you need a preemptive pardon for?
To issue these preemptive pardons, it will be cast in a way that he is protecting his family and protecting their reputations from, villainous exterior forces that are against him.
If he pardons people preemptively, he's essentially telling the public that these people have committed crimes. And we may not be aware of what they are, but the pardon is clear evidence that crimes have been committed.
And now that Biden has pardoned almost more people than the previous 13 presidents combined, people like Don Lemon are saying this.
But it's also because of the unprecedented, unusual administration that we have coming in, and he cannot trust his family in the hands of Donald Trump's Justice Department.
Now, another person who received a last-minute pardon is Anthony Fauci, and here's an interesting video I saw about that.
Well, Joe Biden has preemptively pardoned Anthony Fauci, which effectively shields him from any real federal prosecution or sentencing. Federal, not state, though.
Kind of makes sense, but the question here is, why did Biden have to protect all these people? If they really are innocent, why in the world are they not eager to clear their names? I mean, just as Jamie Raskin mentioned earlier, this just shows a guilty conscience. But then again, you need to have a soul first. Now, we all know what many insiders have told us about Joe Biden's mental state.
He has degraded. So there's something going on. He's not the guy he was when he took office.
Well, here's the thing. Joe Biden is like dead. Like he can't even say a sentence.
Let me tell you, it's not who's the president. It's who's controlling the wallet. So it's the
And who's that?
The hedge funds, BlackRock, the banks. These guys want.
So my final question is this. Should a president have the ability to decide someone's guilt when he apparently doesn't even know where he is half the time? I would love to know your answer to this rather important question, so don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope to see you in the next one.